Good evening, fellow misplaced heads. I'm sure all of you are shocked why I'm calling you misplaced heads rather than, guests or dignitaries. It's said that time has memories, right? But even time wouldn't be able to depict the various eras that Ms. Jayanti has brought in her book in this way. It might, in the sands of time, you could find historical renditions of the various times, but the emotional renditions of these times have been brought out beautifully in Misplaced Heads. History was unveiled in front of our eyes, and we all became more than readers, we all became students while we read through Nakkan's experiences and while we went into the lives of Purna and Tanya. There were many sensitive topics like extramarital affairs, homosexuality, feminism, but Ms. Jayanti had made sure that they were not exaggerated for the times. It had not been overdone, or neither was it underdone either. So there was a filmoscope of both South India and Malaysia in through the ages of medieval, Islamic, colonial, and present day. And as I had already told you, Misplaced Heads has done exactly that. It's done its namesake. It's made us delve deeper into the musings of a human heart, and its madness has been unveiled by misplacing our heads. A creation speaks more about a creator than anything else. Though we all got to know a bit about our author, Ms. Jayanti Shankar, through Misplaced Heads, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't mention her 2020 International Book Award winning short story collection, The Dangling Gandhi. She has also won the Literary Titan Award for the same, and she's a watercolor artist, a freelancer, a journalist, and a panelist for various literary festivals. The multifaceted Ms. Jayanti Shankar continues to inspire not just budding authors like me, but also young women around the world from all walks of life. Without further ado, I would like to invite Kalaimamni Srimati Radhika Surajit to untie the ribbon of her copy of Misplaced Heads, wishing more accolades for the book and the author. Ma'am, can you please untie the ribbon?
Thank you. It's a great honor. I'm doing it. And this, especially Misplaced Heads, is more about Natya, the dancers, and me being a dancer. I consider it a great privilege to release the first copy of the book.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now request all the invitees to hold up their copies of Misplaced Heads to the camera. Yeah. Thank you everyone. So Misplaced Heads has been formally launched today. Now I would proceed to invite our first speaker, Kalaimamani Srimati Radhika Surajit ji. The eldest of the trio sisters is one of the first and senior most disciples of Padma Bhushan the Dhananjayans, the legendary dancing couple. She is an established performer, teacher, choreographer, media visualizer, and television director. Radhika trains many students at her institution Trai in Chennai. She has choreographed several unique dance productions which are very popular globally. She is a trendsetter in creating dance productions for stage television and the celluloid media. We await such an esteemed dancer's take on the transformation of the art form and the system as depicted on Misplaced Heads. Please, ma'am, please start your speech.
Thank you. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Osho, in one of his discourses, said, I danced in the morning when the world had begun. I danced in the sun, moon, and stars. I came down from heaven, danced on earth. Dance then wherever you are. I am the Lord of Dance. I lead you all into dance. So this book of Jayanti Shankar, Misplaced Heads, talks about a group of artists and people whom the dance, Lord of Dance leads. It talks about the dance community right from the beginning of how it started and how slowly the transformation took place in this very beautiful art form. There are many classical dance forms in India, but even though there is a mention of Umesh being a Odissi dancer, the focus is more on the dance style of the South, which is Bharatanatyam. As we all know, Bharatanatyam is dance. Bharata stands for Bha, Ra, and Tha. Ba, which stands for Bhava or mime. Ra, which stands for Raga, melody or scale. And Tha, which stands for Thala or rhythm. A dance form which combines mime, melody, and rhythm was called Bharatanatyam. Now, earlier, this name is of a very recent origin, given by Dr. Rukmini Arundel. Earlier, this form was called Sadir or Chinnamelam, and it was performed by a group of very highly talented artists, the Devadasis. Now, Devadasi, Deva means God, Dasi means slave, a slave to God. They dedicated themselves to the Lord. And through this ceremony of Pottukattal, where the dancer is wedded to the deity, she would have the emblem of the deity imprinted, tattooed on her arm or her breast. She became one with the Lord. But as we all know, all classical art forms in India has been a search of the human soul to attain union with Lord. That is the focus, that is the primary purpose of all art forms in India and also purpose of life. Now, this beautiful book of Jayanti talks about this clan of Devadasis and how they were part of the temple. The temple were not just places of worship, but the temples were also community centers where people got anything happening around the small village would be part of the temple. And these dancers, they were highly talented both in music and in Natyam. I would prefer to call it Natyam than dance because dance could mean any kind of dance, whereas Natyam specifies only the classical art form. Now, there is a detailed work called the Natya Shastra on which the Natya is based. All classical styles are based. I would talk a little bit about the myth of how dancing came. It is said that Brahma created the 4 Vedas and gave it to the people. But the people could not understand those Vedas. So there was a lot of confusion, a lot of ego, and a lot of pride in the people. So all the demigods, others rushed to Brahma and said, the people have become too arrogant and they don't read the Vedas, which says what is good in life. They don't read it, so they become arrogant. So Brahma says, okay, don't worry. He took the essence from all the 4 Vedas and created the Panchama Veda, that is the Natya Veda. So the Natya Veda is the 5th Veda. Okay. Now he took lyrics from Rig Veda, music from Sama Veda, Bhava from Yajur Veda, and Rasa from Atharva Veda. All this combined, this was a visual medium of communication. Now, when these Devadatis attached to the temple, they were part of ritual worship. It was not just dancing, but it was part of ritual. The daily morning prayers, like very beautifully Nakkan and Nila, how the Devadasi would carry the pot of water in which the deity would have his Abhisheka, first Abhisheka. So that was all part of their bringing up. It was not just Natyam. And then everything, even when the deity is getting decorated, they would use hastas. Hastas, if you can, for a common man, they are like alphabets in a language. And like we have the ABCD in any language, you have single hand gestures, Pataka, Tripataka, Arthapataka, and so on, combined like Anjali, Kapota, Karkata, and so on. So 108 hand gestures. And Jayanti, I really wonder how she could write in detail about a specialized art form. I'm sure you learned Natyam. Jayanti, did you learn Natyam?
I have not.
But the usages of Tripataka to show Indra and his weapon, and the use of Kartari and all the Kalani Kutu, then Shanti Kutu, which are danced to stop the rains for peace. all that she had mentioned, I really, really don't know the amount of research that Jayanti has done to go into the detail, because it's not easy. A classical art form like Bharatanatyam may look very nice to the eye, very easy it may look, but it would require years of intense training and hard work, patience and perseverance to reach that level. One moment where the dancer is lost and only dance remains. And that is what the Devadasis excelled in. The total union with the Almighty. No other thought in mind. They would immerse themselves into the art form. It was such a beautiful experience. And they were called Nitya Sumangalis because they were married to the deity of the temple. And if they wanted a child, of course they would get a seed from a man. But even then, after the union is after they conceive, they don't have any connection. They don't have any kind of emotional attachment with anybody else. The emotional connect is only with the Lord. But they would also go about doing the daily chores in the temple. And then learning of the art form from greatest to the men were the Natunas and the Gurus. That is something very unique about our Indian classical art form. It goes from the Guru to the Shishya. We did not have internet or videotaping or audio taping, nothing. From teacher to the taught. That was one-to-one. And that was how Devadasis were initiated by gurus in the temple. They started learning the art form. And they would do an Arangetram. Like Arangetram would be the first maiden performance. But they had trained for many years before they reached the level. And very beautiful, I should say. We talk about the connection between the bamboo and the Urvashi. And all dancing women are all reflections of Urvashi, the celestial dancer. She was cursed to be born here. And Jayanta, the Indra's son, who both Jayanta and Urvashi did not behave well in a big meeting where Agastya was there. And so they were cursed to be born in the earth. But when they asked for forgiveness, then he said, okay, Jayanta will be born as a bamboo, the Vindhya mountains. And the bamboo, when it touched the Urvashi, the dancing girl's head, then they would be relieved of their curse. But even now, we have the starting of when the Devadasis, when they start learning the Bharatanatyam, they have the bamboo stick held and they do prayers to the bamboo stick. And that's how they start. And this is very beautifully brought out. The learning process, I don't know how much research you did, Jayanti, but so much of research gone into getting the facts about how it was done. Slowly, these dancers, the glorified dancers, and there will always be dance for any kind of festivity. And when the king is coming to the temple, they would have dance performances. Or when the deity is taken around in the procession, then we have the traditional Mallari. Mallaris are notes played on the Nadaswaram when the deity goes around in procession. So there also you find very beautiful how she's described the entire procession. And you have Menaka, right? Menaka, one who does the peacock dance. So there are also mentioned about ritualistic dancing. And then how the entire thing culminates with the Devadasi entering the temple and she being given all the dignity and all the priorities. Ishtataliyas and the Devadasis were the important people there. And they were given huge sums of money by the kings. They were maintained by the kings. They had lands and they were very wealthy. So they were wealthy and they would focus on their art form and extensive, beautiful repertoires were formed. But much later, when the Devas, all these are traced by Jayanti in the Misplaced Heads. And what I like about this book is it talks not just about the life of Purna or Tanya. There are so many connections that she has made. The religious, like very rightly, Danya said, the religious, then the spiritual, then the myth, then the history, everything woven so beautifully into the fabric of the story. Now, Purna, having come from born to dancers, from the Devadasi, her forefathers and her family of dancers, has the genes in her body. See, a lot of people learn dance, but very few make great artists. It's different to be a performer and it's different to be a great artist. Now, Purna and Tanya had the genes to evolve to be intense artists. And as you all know, artists are maybe little too sentimental and too emotional, and they are not the balanced type. They're not, and that's why they are very creative, and that's why they are artists. They can't plan their lives, and they're not the ordinary kind of people in any way. That is very clearly brought out by both Purna and Tanya, where Tanya is different from Purna is. Tanya comes out of her distress very quickly. And we all know art forms are great healers. If you have pain, even in real life, when you're going through a very difficult time, they say, just go, put on your dancing shoes and dance. You come out of it. If any kind of physical work would relieve you of this depression. So Natyam, with the discipline of both the physical discipline and the mental discipline, is a great reliever of pain and stress for any. A person expecting too much from life and too much from others. So somewhere, I did not like Raghu. I thought he was, I did not like the character Raghu because he wanted the best of both worlds. He wanted his family intact, and Purna was just an add-on for his pleasure. And there are a lot of places where it is more physical, very romantic, but he was very unstable, not able to take decisions. But Purna, whether a decision is right or wrong, whether it did her good or bad, she would be very strong about it. Artists are very strong people. And but Raghu always kept thinking that she had an agenda. He could never trust her completely. So that personally for me, put Raghu in a bad light. Not that I'm a feminist, but I think it's very unfair for Purna to go through this. And the things that I loved in the story is grace, how she stood by Purna, took care of Purna right through her life, and like a mother. And even though her son Sam was not loyal to Purna, she still stood by her daughter-in-law. That was very nice gesture, how generous it is. Now, Purna, having inherited the genes of the Devadasi system, the dancing part of it was so natural. She was a very, not an ordinary performer, but a very intense performing artist. But even that was pushed aside because of her emotional connect with Raghu and other frivolous things. But later, I like the way the novel ends in a very positive note of Purna, leaving us with the hope that Purna someday would again shine in her Natyam. And the Natyam part of it, so many, we called adavus are the basic unit of dance. When you see a dance performance, they are built up with building blocks like called adavus. Now, adavus are strung together to make rhythmical sequences. Now, these adavus are strung again, placed in order with the musical sequences, and they form the pure dance. That's called nritta. Now, then the nritta is different. Nritta is pure dance, whereas nritya, when I say nritya, it becomes pure dance combined with facial expressions or telling of a story. We have the Navarasas in Natyam called either Shringara, the Veera, Karuna, compassion. Then you have Hasya, laughter, Adbhuta, wonder, disgust, Bibhatsa, Bhayanaka, fear, and then we have Raudra, anger, and finally the ninth one is Shanti. That is what dance aims at, to bring calmness to your mind, to your thinking, and that is what dance aims at. And all these Navarasas are different shades of the rainbow. And I find this book all has all the Navarasas beautifully portrayed through various characters. There are sequences of Hasya, there are sequences of Raudra, anger, the feelings that in the book invokes in you. So for me, it was like watching a film. And the shift from frame to frame was so smooth. It was not abrupt cut. There was always, I would say as a choreographer, a good choreography is one where you don't find any jerk in the movement as it flows. It just flows smoothly with music. There should be no separation. And even in a films, you will say a good camera work is one where you don't feel the camera, or you don't think about the camera. The transitions are more smooth. You don't feel the camera. That's good camera work. And that's good choreography. And that way, this novel is so good that you don't find the shift or abrupt change. It flows smoothly. And okay, she takes you, Jayanti takes us to a different period, the Chola period. Then she comes back to Raghu and Purna. Then you have Tanya. Then you have the men talk. Everything, but so beautifully placed like in a painting, in perfect collage. And that is the beauty of the whole novel. And unfortunately, these Devadasis, when they did not get sustenance and wealth from the kings, and the Devadasi act prohibited dancers from dancing in the temple. They were such brilliant dancers, but Devadasis, they didn't have any other means of occupation. So they started becoming a mistress, and then prostitution came in, and the term Devadasi itself was shown in bad light. And at that time, at that period, they would look down on women who even danced. There was a period. And a lot of people worked towards the renaissance of the art, like Rukmani Devi Arudel, Sri Krishna Iyer, and Mridalini Sarabha in the north. They all worked and brought back the glory of the art form, which it truly deserves. Now, what I see in Purna, with the transition of time, with the Kala Chakra, now she is going and performing earlier dance, which was only restricted to the temples by the Devadasis, shifted to courts where under the king they were called the Rajadasis, where they started dancing to entertain the king and entertain the guests. In fact, even today, we do compositions which praise the king, how generous he is, all his valor, his qualities. So there was a repertoire where all the focus was more on pure dance, because it had to be fast, it had to catch the eye of people. So there was no personal padams and javalis were not there. It became fast dancing. They became compositions where they would try to entice the king and all that. Now, from Rajadasis, they were also part of another clan of dancers called the Alankara Dasis, who would dance like when lighting a lamp. Okay, they were also Devadasis, but they were called the Alankara, lighting a lamp. Even that had a very beautiful way of singing flowers or decorating the temple or getting the premises ready for any kind of, even they were called Alankara Dasis. Slowly, when Bharatanatyam got back its glory, it shifted to the proscenium setup. That is when we started using technology. We started using microphones and lights. Earlier, the dance would be performed with oil-lit lamps, and the musicians would stand behind the dancer and move back and forth with the dancer as they performed. That was a ritual. The drummer would have his drum over his shoulder and keep beating the drum, and the Natuvanar is always the guru. They would walk in front, the dancer used to sing. But practically, when it moved to proscenium setup, we cannot have the dancers sing. You cannot hear them. So we started using microphones, the lights. Everything has undergone a complete change. And Purna, she has highlighted places where Purna goes on international trips. She takes her group, then which totally brings us to the topic of group choreography. Now, dancing in unison, everyone dancing the same item is one, but a group choreography is different. It is a combined effort of so many dancers forming patterns. Choreo itself means to form patterns. So there is a mention of a solo natyam. There is also a flash somewhere in the background mention about group choreography and traveling, taking natyam to various parts. Where that's how she gets connected to Raghu. Purna gets connected to Raghu, trying to organize a show, asking him to coordinate the show for her. So the whole transition from the Devdasi to the present scene has been very, very beautifully brought out. And Vanaja being the Bharatanatyam dancer, Umesh being the Odissi dancer. So Purna had, it was so easy for her. Dancing just came very easily on her, fell easily on her. And there are a lot of Mangai, the strength of Mangai, whom I admired. You know, in a foreign soil, then left all alone, she had brought up her daughter. And Vanaja's grandchild is Purna. So the strength, see what we are today, we get it from our genes. So be it art, be it the intelligence, or be it even simple mannerisms. It all comes with our genes. Sometimes the way we eat or the way we look, the way we emote under stress or whatever, you can easily make out from where you are. So Purna is a mix of a rich cultural tradition, and that part of her, Purna, searching, going to find her roots, dwelling deeper into her history of dancers and to find out where her roots are, the search. There is a search in every artist. Your search is never complete. You're for eternally searching. Even you search for something, and that is where I think even Purna was little distanced from Raghu, and Raghu kept saying, you're little distracted. You're little distracted. You were not fully into. And that I think as artists, the search never ends. It's the search to connect to the Almighty. There is always a search in every artist, be it Natyam, be it music or painting or even in writing. I'm sure there is a search. And the search never ends. And that is where the success is. So once the search ends, I think we stagnate. The search should be there. It's a flowing river. And I feel I would like to end my talk by saying that our traditions are not stagnant ponds. They are flowing rivers. So they keep flowing with time and tide. New tributaries may join, and even unwanted things may fall into the river during its course. But the course is steady, the course is focused, and then I think I am a very, very positive person. I feel time will determine whatever is good only will stay. So whatever is bad would automatically, we don't have to worry about, oh, things changing so much, so many bad things happening. No, I think, yes, it's just, maybe they are like fireworks, maybe they are glittery and nice for some time. But I think no firework can match the beauty of a traditional lamp, earthen lamp, right? So like that, any new things, if they are good, if they stand the test of time, then they are good. That way, misplaced heads would be spoken about for many, many more years. She's traveled, she's taken us on a journey of amazement and reliving past, a journey through history to mythology. You have mention of Urvashi, Jayanta, so beautiful, and I have loved reading it, and it's a must read for all dancers, I feel. And thank you so much for this unique honor that I had of reading the manuscript. But it's nothing like reading the book. The feel of the book and reading like the book. But then, so when I got the book, I was so thrilled. I said, Jayanti, I want to read it again, not on the computer. So, wishing Jayanti many, many more laurels. You truly deserve it. You are an intense artist, and I'm so happy that you have touched upon the classical dance with so much of research and so much of techniques, which I don't think any other person can do it without a dance knowledge. Could have touched about these things, the mudras or the mandalas or the aramandis or whatever. They are all technical terms, but she so beautifully read about all of them. Hats off to you, Jayanti, and wishing you lots of luck.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the speech. Like ma'am said, Brahma had given Bharatanatyam or classical dance as the fifth Veda, and like it was codified by Bharata in Natya Shastra. So the same way, I think Jayanti auntie, though she had read so much and done so much research on the dance form, she had finally codified it through her words in misplaced heads and brought us all into that realm of dance. And like Radhika ma'am said, a struggling artist is always the best artist. Anyone, a struggling artist, be it a writer, be it a dancer, be it a singer, be it a storyteller, anyone, any type of an artist, when he's struggling is when he will perform his best. Yeah. So through Radhika ma'am's speech, we were able to understand that dance or classical dance, which started as a spiritual journey, which started as a journey towards knowing oneself or getting connected to the Brahman, the main God. Through its journey, it's been transformed into an art form, which later became a theatrical entertainment form. And right now, this present day, most dances are looked as fitness. They are looked at as fitness, instruments for fitness. So I wish that once again dance would go back in its cycle and become a spiritual experience, not just for the dancer but also for the audience,
I would just
like it
like to
used to be.
just say one thing, that Natyam, dance, is to educate the illiterate, entertain the literate, and enlighten the entertained. The
Beautiful.
enlightenment should be the last one.
Yes.
First, it is education too. Learning Natya itself is an education.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
Sorry.
it was no problem. It was beautiful that you had mentioned about when you look into a film, and if there is no glitch in the film, if there is no stagnancy in the film, you will be more interested, and you will forget that you are watching a film only when you forget the camera is there. There is a camera between you and the film, and the same way, Ms. Jayanti has beautiful. We have forgotten that there was an author to this book. We had become part of the book, and I was able to understand it by the way you were speaking about Purna. I was understanding that you had empathized so much with Purna that you were feeling her pains and you had become so connected with her. And that is the beauty of an author. When an author can make us forget that it is a book, that it is something that she has fictionally brought out and has tried to bring in our deep emotions, then I think that is bigger than any awards an author can ever get. And I'm very happy that I was a part of the first readers and I was able to read Misplaced Heads. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your speech, and thank you so much for enlightening us about dance. Thank you. And
And
I
I would
would
like to thank here Jayanti especially. She has made me also a character in the book where she says Purna goes to her guru Radhika Shurjit, and that was a complete surprise to me. And I like the way the postmodern approach, modernistic technique, where the author herself becomes a character and tries to advise or guide Purna, but sometimes you are not looking at her. When the author is lost, she has to go with the character. The character has taken shape, manifold, and you can't do anything with it. You have to move along with the
My
character.
manuscript,
I like that.
my manuscript was ready, and I talked with ma'am if she will read the manuscript, and she said she will read. And that's when I quickly worked on my manuscript.
Oh,
I made her a character. I took half an hour
thank you.
and worked on it. and then sent her the.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be a character in
I
Misplaced.
didn't tell her anything. I wanted it to be a surprise.
A surprise.
Yes. Once she
It was.
agreed to read it, I did that.
Thank you so much. Privilege. My privilege.
Yeah, I'm honored. Okay, over to Danya.
Thank you. I think we can keep the queries to ourselves until the second speaker is done, and after that we can have a Q&A.
Yes.
And yeah, about our second speaker, Ms. Vidya Velayudham holds a master's in psychology and is a person of varied interests. She works as a layout designer for Zero Degree Publishing and was also a meditation teacher with the Brahma Kumaris. She is a hobby artist with an undying passion for pencil sketches. Another multifaceted individual amongst us. Let us hear Vidya Velayudham's psychological analysis on what affected her and stayed with her
That
about
was
misplaced
the
heads.
topic. Don't change the topic.
We wanted to scare you a little bit.
Don't change the topic just because she did psychology. Okay, over to Vidya. Vidya, can I hear you, Vidya?
I think you're unmuted. You have to unmute your.
Yes, she did. One second. Yes. Yeah, you're okay now.
Can you hear me now?
Can't hear. No, and you have to unmute.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, it's mute. Why is it mute?
Her laptop audio is muted, but her phone audio is, I think it's unmuted. That is why we can hear it in a different thing.
Now it's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
Yes. Right.
Okay, now it will be clear. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
I wanted to see you all through the laptop. Now I can't. So I may not take much time. It's a layman review. You have to take it as a layman review. So I came across Jayanti's novel as I was doing the layout. You should. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So as Radhika ma'am said, I empathize a lot with Purna, and working with Jayanti, I have to speak about that first. Working with Jayanti was a pleasure. She's so dedicated, and she's very meticulous. And the script, it gave me a lot of experience while doing the layout, because it's not like a normal fiction what you do. So while I work with many authors, doing this book was a challenge actually, like placing all the contents properly and everything. So while I was reading this, I felt very sad for Purna actually, very sad for Purna. And Jayanti has touched up on relationships topic. Like we all have needs. We all have our love needs. We all have our ego needs. So I literally hated that person, Raghu. How selfish he is, and the ego needs. I was able to see the ego needs in him, and the love need of Purna, and what she craves for the motherhood, and to have a. So, and also one thing which affected me was she was speaking about the roles we play. There is one small section where a nun and a monk, they speak. So that really resonated with me, because earlier I had the experience of a nun life and then a family life. So that resonated very well with me. No one can escape roles. So she touched that topic also. And another topic she was talking about, how our brain functions. So I was wondering how she has touched various topics. Under the sun, there are too many topics, and she has taken a lot of topics actually. She speaks about the brain, the psychology, and she speaks about the relationships. She speaks about all the Devadasi systems, and she speaks about mythology. And wow, I was really surprised. Wow. As ma'am, Radhika ma'am was telling, a lot of research she has done. And in the end, she connected Purna to, again, God, which I liked a lot. So another thing which I was deeply affected was when you don't have closure for something, it always leaves you depressed. So that she has mentioned in Purna's parents' death. So she didn't have a closure for that. And that void can never be fulfilled. So it's great working with Jayanti, and we wish we will work with you also in the future. We would like to read many of your creations. So nothing much to say. I am a novice in reading. So I don't want Purna to end up like this, she was affected. It affected her psyche as per the predictions of her grandfather. So I didn't want her to end up like that. I wanted her to be yet strong. So that was my comment on that. Thanks, Jayanti, for a very good experience. And thanks for adding me in this to give my thoughts and what affected me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm humble.
Yeah, thank you for participating, for that talk and those words. Purna, I mean, it was not planned. Purna became like that because she was like that. Any strong persons also, you might have seen many strong people also, in some way, some area, some emotion, some relationship, they're crushed.
Yes.
It's natural. It's not that unnatural. That is one thing. The other thing is, if she were to be very strong and getting up and all, it becomes too dramatic, unnatural, cinematic, which I didn't want.
Yeah.
It was there for me. An alter ego, that another character that I needed. And Tanya could do what Vidya would like,
Yes,
isn't it? So
I like that.
Tanya, right? You did, right? Tanya? Yes.
I
Many will like Tanya. In fact, I like Purna as well as Tanya, both of them. So I was, the whole of 2019, I was talking to Purna while cooking, in my mind, while walking, even loudly. People would think, no gadgets, nothing, she's talking. They would smile and go. They got used to me. I got used to their smiles. But I was living more of Purna the whole of 2019.
Okay.
I came once in a while to the real world as Jayanti, but I was more of Purna the whole of 2019. It was both pain and pleasure, in the sense, because she's the character that I created, and I was living her, I was emoting her, I was going through the process of knowing her, knowing the way she thinks and all that. So I was living like Purna only, 2019. So it was something.
It's the relationship, like after 50 plus, they are having a romantic relationship. That's a very good thing to write, actually, from my perspective. You know.
Yeah, most unexpected. Many people would find it most unexpected. Even the person herself wouldn't even expect. The Mridula is my friend, based on whom I've written this novel. But she was never married. She was a spinster, late 50s. She got to know a guy from Chicago. They are good. They have moved to Australia from Singapore. So she's fine. She's good. She never had all these depressions and all in this. Those are my own creations. Purna, how she would be, why she has to be, all that are my own. And interestingly, she read, last Christmas, she read this manuscript first. In fact, first of the first reader. Even before the polishing, it was raw. She was moved. She shed tears. She said, I'm there everywhere. I'm not there everywhere, anywhere, and all that you're saying, because she was only a skeleton. So
Yeah.
she had her paternal roots in Odisha and maternal roots in Tanjavur. That's all. And she has done some kind of research, and she's shared with me some of them. Other than that, she has nothing in this novel. All my imaginations. And yes.
Sorry, I was really angry when that guy didn't turn up at the airport.
I thought Raghu was too manipulative.
Yeah.
You know, too manipulative he was. I think maybe we are all sounding too feminist. Maybe we should hear the men speakers, what they have to say about a man's mind.
Men talk.
Men talk.
So, only one thing I would like to say. People are asking me about the title. How did you come up with this title? When I'm in big project, like bigger canvas, like Misplaced Heads, like I was doing the whole of 2019, living the life of Purna, right? Such times, when I'm half asleep, I'm about to sleep, I'm not yet into sleep, but I'm not awake also, the alpha state. That's when I get flashes, because my mind is always in my novel. I get flashes. Those flashes, if I'm able to retain it for the next day to note down or write, I'll be very happy the next day. But most of the times it goes off. The flashes will go away. What I would do is I will keep a paper and a pen near my pillow those times. I know when I will get those because I'm deeply into my novel. So when I get a flash, I would just scribble one word or two words and just go to sleep. Morning when I see it will be like a baby scribbled, but I will get those one or two words. That's enough for me to catch my flash. So during one such night, I had the flash of this Renu and what's that? Matangi.
Matangi.
You know, the Jamadagni Muni, you know. So I don't know why that flash came, that story of severing heads of, and the you know, Parashurama, you know, misplacing the heads. That story only flashed in my head. And I thought, why is this coming? Then, but I went ahead and wrote my own version of that story. And then that's all. But from there, I thought misplaced heads. That came again and again to my head the whole week. And I thought it's so metaphorically suitable for my whole novel. So let me not think of the other titles. This is my title.
It's a very catchy title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
And very true, like what she says, every artist will go through this flashes. Some of my best choreographies come in a flash, and if I'm able to retain it, it's good. I do keep a paper and pencil and I scribble. the same thing, like what she said, I could connect to her immediately, because that's when you get something deeply embedded within you comes like a flash, and you don't even realize it. Next day, sometime it's gone.
Yeah. Gautam,
Excellent.
why don't you speak something? How did you like Men Talk? The portions. He didn't even tell me how he felt about the novel. He's very high. I mean, I think he's keeping everything for his talk.
No, he's keeping it for his talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gautam?
actually, Radhika ma'am is correct. Actually, I am see when some weeks back when ma'am had given me the soft copy of this novel, I had requested ma'am that see, I am not very comfortable reading a soft copy of it, so
Yeah.
I would prefer to have a hard copy. Nevertheless, ma'am told me to go ahead, and whenever the book comes, you can go see that. So I read it one full time on the soft copy, and now I am having the book. And let me tell you, I am taking notes on each and every page of it.
Wow.
Wow.
That is how I normally read a book. I all my side columns of the pages to be filled up with something or the other, which keeps running when I read that particular page. So I am reading it the second time, and I'm almost like 400 pages into it. I need to finish another 150 pages. That's why I'm not telling anything. I'm not writing anything.
Yeah, I know. You will talk only
Yeah.
next week, I know.
Yes.
Gautam, only
Yeah.
for your sake, I was bugging my publishers. Is it ready? Is it ready? Because I needed a copy to reach you, you know. I was
Yeah.
he wanted a soft copy, and the time is running out. Gautam has to read, and I was bugging Gayatri, Ramji, and Vidya.
Thank you very much on that, ma'am. Because having the book in hand, it's a completely different reading experience.
I
I
agree with that.
I agree with that.
I
And
like
the
it.
feel of the book is also very good. Actually, the paper and
Yeah.
all
Yes.
also is very good. The quality
Exactly.
of the paper is.
I
beautiful.
love the font.
Yes.
They are
Yes.
so easy on the eye to read. They're not too small. The letters are not too big either. They don't glare at you, but the correct size for very easy reading. I loved it. I love the
I-
feel of the book, like I said.
Loved, one more thing I loved about Misplaced Heads is that though Jayanti ma'am was trying to bring in various periods, what she had done in one part was she had made it a WhatsApp. There was an email conversation between Raja and Purna, right?
Uttam.
It was beautiful. This was beautiful.
Yeah.
This was beautiful because
Rajendra.
so
Rajendra.
we would have never thought that this was possible, and we understood that this was something psychologically happening inside her. It was not true, but still it was very engaging. It was as if we were in the scene. We were there, and he was like Raja was building it, and Rajendra was watching it. He was giving the account to her. We felt like we were there when it was happening, when it was being built. So that was very beautiful. And this new thing that that Jayanti ma'am had brought in, this WhatsApp conversation happening between Purna. This I have never read in any other books, and I don't think this will even catch on also. I think her book will be the only book which has done this and which would have succeeded doing it.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning.
yeah,
It was very
yeah.
difficult for me to work out on this book, to place the WhatsApp chats and to place the mentor. It was really.
I love the front cover, Jayanti.
After
Jayanti.
pages, the reader will be tuned to that. If it's a WhatsApp chapter, it is Purna and Raghu. They will know it very soon. They will know it because I didn't confuse it. The any other person doing WhatsApp, that I didn't do. So that it's only then, when it is WhatsApp, it is these two people. But and obviously they are long distance relationship, and that's why it's suited also, isn't it? So otherwise, if
I love the cover, Jayanti. I love the cover. The color tones show Purna's passion. Then there is an image of the temple where you talk about the history of the dancers connected to the temple. So somewhere Purna comes from the lineage. This has a lot of passion, lot of fire within Purna, and also a little anger.
That was
that I find, I don't know what it meant, but then each one starts interpreting the way we want to, right? And the reflections,
yes.
the reflection of it in the
The
water.
book cover was
I like the cover very much. It's very
Thank you.
interesting.
Thank
I
you.
think the first impression you get looking at the book, the cover, that
The-
excites you to think what is inside.
The
So
book
I love that.
book cover was done by Rahul, a boy
Very
in
beautiful.
Kochi. He's about 25. He's only a web designer. This is the first book.
Very nice.
Probably no one would dare to give to the boy who has never done a book cover. But I was confident to walk him through, and I really bugged him for a month and a half, about 5 to 6 weeks, to do this, that. He was confused. Why do you want the temple to be small, the Nataraja bigger, and the dancer bigger than Nataraja? I said, I have a reason for that, because but for the dancer, the Nataraja won't be celebrated. But for Nataraja, the temple is has no meaning. Something like that. I mean, it can
No,
be
but
read
also
many
the
ways.
extension that you're given to the temple. It doesn't give just an image of the temple, but I like the way it is extended to show that art's extension over time.
Yeah.
And its
For me,
reflection on
I
the
thought it
pond
was-
is also beautiful. The reflection that
Yeah.
it shows on the pond is also beautiful.
Yes, it's so beautiful. And the extension of the temple, look,
Yeah.
it doesn't just stop with the temple. I like that. Very
Initially,
good.
Rahul, what he gave me as drafts were very gaudy, and I was scared. Maybe I thought I was going to give up on this boy and use the one that I already had in hand. But I really, walked him through, do this, do that, and all. And he was actually scared if he can make it, but he did it. Now he's happy.
Yes.
First book cover for him, and
Good job.
And I have one more question. I'm not sure why all the panelists are, zeroing in on Raghu. There is another, like this Tanya's partner, right? There's Rishi.
Yes.
His what to call it? I do not want to call it cheating. His emotional abuse of the girl is worse than Raghu actually. But none of us focused on, just because she was strong, we just thought, okay, it's fine. She got over it, so it's all right.
She could take it.
So
Right?
this is what we all
But
do.
Rishi also
always.
seemed very manipulative and cheating out on his girl. Okay,
Yeah.
Rishi is also in bad light. But the main character, the protagonist is Purna. So automatically you focus
But
more on.
Rishi's case, he really, as you can read it, he really is serious with Tanya. He is serious. But how circumstances can change or change a person's perception or ways of behavior and all. That came out naturally. I left it as that. I didn't do anything more than that. So yeah, Gautam is really stubborn, huh? He's only waiting for next week. Gautam.
No, actually, a word.
Wait, you have more questions from us.
Men talk at least.
No, I have a word on the book.
Yes, please.
See, amongst the book reading circle, a book of 450 to 500 pages.
Okay.
It is a very intimidating scene. Like it's such a thick book. It's such a thick book. It's an intimidating thing.
You know something?
No, let me finish, ma'am.
Okay.
No, actually, it's a 400 and 450 pages book. It's a very intimidating thing. But let me tell you, the layout of the book is so good that you never feel that it is so large.
Heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And though it feels intimidating, it does not fight with you when you go on reading it. That's a great thing which the publisher has done, and I really congratulate them on that.
Okay, good.
Thank you. So happy to hear these comments. I will keep that in future projects. Even when I got the hard copy, and seriously, I felt different holding the book in hand and reading it. It feels different from doing the
Of
layout.
course.
On a soft copy, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
true.
That's exactly the case with Natyam, right? You go, whatever you watch on this virtual online performances, it's never the same like what you would experience a Natya recital watching it in live,
Person, yeah.
Need that
right?
physical
It's the
touch.
same. You go online, you go watch online and virtual and everything, all that is fine. But when you sit in front of the dancer and when you connect with her, that's different. That's exactly the same thing with the book. You
Actually,
know, we
Yeah.
hold the
Gautam,
book and there's a personal connect to it.
yes.
Yes. Of
So
course.
Gautam, you
Yeah.
said it's a large book. It was not planned at all. In fact, when I completed it was 110K words. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, let me, it's too large. Let me at least come to 100K. I went on cutting. I have the original also in my folder. I went on cutting everywhere. And I felt happy only. The sharpness came, so unnecessary things. But I couldn't cut beyond 103K. And I left it at that. So I think when you think of a large canvas, that's what I experienced in this. In a large canvas, it's expanding and expanding and expanding, sometimes terrifying me. That's what happened in this. Um, where to stop? How much to write? How much to give in writing? Although so much is going on in the head, so it was not so easy. I've already started on my next novel.
Oh, okay.
Which should have come before this one actually. This cut the queue. So that one is also same thing is happening. It's expanding and expanding. I don't know where to start and where to finish, and not so big. Okay, that much I can promise to everyone. I'll be careful, but I can't say. I don't know. Let's see how it grows. And over to
I
Danya.
just have a small question
Yes,
to people who are not dancers.
Okay.
Okay. Gautam, are you initiated into Indian classical dance? But how did you feel reading about the technical aspects of Natyam? For me as a dancer, I could immediately understand the mudras or the positions or whatever she was talking. But for a person who is not into classical dance, who doesn't know anything about it, except the system, the Devadasi system and how they became later Rajadasis and the transition, but otherwise the technical leader, what is too overpowering or could you understand?
Okay, good question. Good question.
Okay. Let me put it this way. I am basically from Kerala. So, yeah, I am basically from Kerala. So, as you know, Kathakali is the major art form which you see in Kerala. So, when I did my schooling and most of my education in Tamil Nadu, so I used to go to Kerala every vacation. And Kathakali is one art form which you sit late night and watch it. When I was in my school days, we used to go for this performance in the temple festivals. They used to have this performances. So I was simply bored. Let me be frank about it. I was simply bored. Means a layman will never be able to understand that a story is being enacted on the stage. Just because we are not able to appreciate the different facial
Nuances.
expressions, your hand expressions, your body expressions, a layman may not be able to understand these things. Even today, just because we understand the story or maybe some expressions which you show with your hand are very physical to what it is in the real world, we are able to understand. But otherwise, it is really, it's more like a Pandora's box. But now, coming to ma'am's book, let me take the first chapter where Nakka's Nakkan's performance in front of Lord in the early morning is taken. I am just being frank. It is one of the best written part in the book.
Very good. Yeah.
Because see, it what do you say? It kindles a certain emotion in you when that is written. I am not very I cannot say what is Tripadaka or what ma'am was telling earlier. I cannot say that, but as you said, what the Nakan is trying to emote to the Lord, like Indra's weapon or Airavata or all those things, that is exactly kindling an expression in you, and that is one of the major points in this book.
Thank you.
That is what we call
I
rasa. In Natya, we call this feeling when reading something rasa. So any art, if it evokes a sense of ananda within you, after reading the book, the emotion that it evokes in you is ananda or bliss. So then it's that credit should go to Jayanti for giving that kind of a rasa in us, for creating, a novel creating the rasa within us.
Thanks for asking him the question, so we get another view. You know, a person who doesn't know dance. In the sense, for me also, I'm not a formally trained dancer. Although in school times, I used to be one of the first who the teachers will call, whether it's Bhangra or any other semi-classical or anything. They will only call a few people, and I'll be one of them. That is all different. But I was never formally trained. Formally, I didn't learn dance. But I appreciate dance and I love dance. And I have only one wish in my life. If I have another birth, it should be I should learn dance. That I know.
Your passion for that art shows in your book.
Yes.
That's why you could. That is why you could do so much research on the technical aspects of dance, not just talk of dance at a surface level, but dwell deeper to get into the techniques and nuances of the art.
I expressed my interest during my childhood to my parents, but my father was a central government engineer. He used to be always transferred every 3 years. So, you know, there were practical issues in putting me in a dance school or something, because we will have to move every 3 years everywhere we have to go. So from Coimbatore, we went to Shillong when I was in 7th standard. So this is one of the many transfer stories. So they couldn't do also. It didn't happen. They know it. I had interest and they knew it, but they didn't do anything.
But ma'am, what has happened through the book is that I'm also not a trained dancer or anything like Jayanti aunty said. I was also like school dances and stuff we used to do. But for right now, because I'm studying for something, I have a separate subject called art and culture. So while I read this, I would have to learn about classical dance and the theories of it. So that when I read, I was just reading it for the sake of an exam, right? But when I read Auntie's Jayanti ma'am's book, I'm sorry for
No worries.
Calling her auntie because I'm very close with her. I keep calling her auntie.
No worries.
And
Go on.
so because I had through the book, I was able to connect with my subject better. When I was reading the book, I understood. Okay, so this is why this is there. So this is the important part. When you were telling also Nritya and Nritta and all, I was still able to connect it better with my subject. I'm meaning, the book was not made easier because of the history that I've read. History was made easier because of this.
It happens. It happens. Complex things. When it is told through fiction, any complex subjects are easily understood. It happens. I've seen it. When you
but there's someone wanting to say something.
Yeah.
Who's that? Redmi? Yeah?
I think it's Murli sir.
I can't.
Redmi, there is a Redmi.
Okay.
Redmi.
Connected.
Okay.
Maybe I think his phone is unmuted.
Gautam, if you're not talking, at least do you have a question?
I have 3 questions.
Oh, 3. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the first question is both to you and Radhika ma'am.
Okay.
the book starts with a scene in Athens. Can you just explain what is the significance of that in this book?
Which one? Sorry.
There is a scene,
Greece.
Huh?
there is chapter in the book which happens in the Athens, in Athens.
Athens. Okay.
Yeah. So can you please
Okay, I can tell you that. I can tell you that. The temple women and the temple women connected with worship in the temple or the rituals in the temple, where it originated, that's what I researched. And there were many theories that that were available for me to read. For me, the most acceptable was this one, that in Athens they have women connected to temples even before our period, pre-medieval or even 3000 years back. In Greece, there were temples where women were only in charge of the temple, worship, rituals, administration, everything. And we know that there were always trades going on between southern part of India and Middle East, those Mediterranean places. So that string only I wanted to bring here to show that, I mean, some readers can read it like this. The root could be from there. The women connected to rituals and worship could have come from there. That was what I understood. That's why I did that. And they have one important custom in Athens and Greece. They have, if somebody is leaving their home or country in a sale or trade, any reason, they light a lamp and they make sure it is always lit until they return. They have that custom. Even today, in some parts of those places, they follow that. So, and mainly horses were traded from, horses came from there. And down south, all the dynasties, Chola dynasty, everyone, they bought horses from that Mediterranean countries. So, and those horses, they died, here. They couldn't breed any new offsprings of the horses. They couldn't maintain it properly. They don't have any physicians if they fall ill or something. And it seems they were not sent along with the horses. Mainly because if they know these things, the trade will be stopped. So those guys were not allowed to come here. Only traders will bring the horses, leave the horses and go. These guys here, they will, Marco Polo has written. Marco Polo, in my research, I didn't come in this, but Marco Polo has written that these guys, the Dravidians, that's something like that he's mentioning, they very lovingly feed the rice gruel to the horses. And the horses need the horse gram, they have their own feed. But whatever they drink, the kanji or anything, porridge, they feed to the, and it dies. It doesn't get the nutrition. The Marco Polo has written that. So the horses are brought, but not the horse groomers. So that there was a trick there. So those things I thought of, small chapter.
No, but I had a student from Greece, and like Indian history, they also have a very rich civilization. And when I read the book, then I thought the connect between Athens and India could have happened, you know, a lot of rituals. They do have a lot of customs like what we have in our Indian culture. There are a lot of similarities. So I thought that was why Jayanti, I thought, produced it.
Yes.
There's
Actually, ma'am,
a,
what you said about Marco Polo was something which struck me also, because I had read one of his book long back. So
Okay.
I had read say almost the same kind of passage. So that's why I wanted to ask you on that.
Okay.
oh, okay.
In fact, Marco Polo has mentioned in his books about the temple dances. How beautifully she is wearing those jewels and all. Of course, top she has nothing, but the jewels are so valuable. So many intricately done. He has registered in his travelogues. So he has about the temple dances. He has written a lot. But and there was one Muslim Islam guy from Persia or somewhere during the 16th or 17th century in Tiruvarur, you know, the car festival time, he saw the dance of the Devdasis. He said, it may be against my religion, but I can't take my eyes off this beautiful art form. This is just stealing my heart away, my soul away. And he has written that. I got the research done. He says, I'm forgetting myself seeing this dance form. It's doing so much to me. He was emoting. So there are many earlier observations of different people. So one question over, is it, Gautam?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. My second question is to Radhika ma'am, because she was talking earlier. See, I am basically a person who doesn't believe much on history which is written, because history, as I perceive, is mostly written by the winner. Mostly, whoever is the ruling party, he will get it written in the way he wants it. And in that sense, you are telling that there was a class of dancers who praised the kings and Raja and
That's it.
so I wanted to ask, is there any class of dancers who opposed the ruling, or
No, no, because they were maintained by the kings and all their wealth and money came from them. All the compositions that we do today, the current day repertoire, we call it a margam. Even now, we do a lot of compositions which are on Raja Rajendra, singing his praises only. We don't have you cannot go to a king's court and start abusing him. And art, even though it reflects life, it was not reflecting the social problems that the people face. No, it was on a higher plane. When they sang about God, they would always glorify the God. But there were some very rare compositions called Ninda Stutis, where, like, teasingly, they would talk about his shortcomings and say, did I say that? Did I say that you are riding a bull? Or did I say that you are wearing snakes? It is an indirect stuti. We have compositions called Ninda Stutis, but never abusing the king or nothing harsh, or not even talking about their problems to the king. All that was not done through Natya. Maybe in a course they would come and talk.
Correct.
Tell their problems, but through the art form, they never did it.
Yes.
It would always be praised because they would always get money. They are from the kings. When they praise the king would provide them with lots of gifts. So we don't have any compositions where they would talk bad about the kings. No.
Actually,
Or maybe there were and we don't know about it.
Yes. In my research, I've come across a few. She is a Rajadasi. She will, in the court, she will praise him. But when she's alone with him, she will really, scold him. or
Yeah, that is she goes through the shades of Ashtanayikas. Anybody in love in Natya, we call them, go through the Ashtanayika phase where a woman would, at different stages of love, she takes the liberty to shout at him, scold him, or be nice to him, or be sarcastic to him, laugh at him. She would do all that in private.
yes,
Like in life, when you're with a loved one, you take all the liberty. But when you're on stage talking about him, you would always say only the good things.
there is one reason for this, Gautam, because dance form was Devadasi. It was for the deity. First of all, she danced for the deity. Later on, the king actually, whatever he loved, the ornaments or the whatever celebrations he loved, he imposed on the deity also. You know, that is how it all the. So even for the king also, you will have so many stutis. You will have, you know, those are all there. So she will. So she's dancing there, praising the deity. Here she will dance, praising the king. The temple is getting all funds from the king. She is dependent on the temple. It's temple-centric community, the Devadasis. And the temple is funded by the king. It's a big community, as you can see in the novel also.
Yeah.
So, and moreover, whatever we get, like Radhika ma'am said, all the kritis and padam, javalis and all, whatever we are getting, those were all written either in Sanskrit or Telugu or later on Tamil. Kshetrajna. So those were, whatever we got were all mainly praises, sometimes nindas. Yes.
Okay.
Third
Now my
one.
third question. Yeah. This is again from the part which Radhika ma'am was talking earlier.
Okay.
An artist, you are saying that he or she will be very sentimental, but at the same time, she will be very stable.
Yeah.
Can you
No, not
please
always.
can you
No,
please
not
put
always.
light on that?
No, she's focused. She is very strong, but she is sentimental. But she also goes through various emotions in life as well as in her art. If she's very grounded and too practical, there is no reflection of your inner emotions. Right? Any artist, it need not be a dancer, it could be a singer, it could be a writer, it could be anyone. They will go through emotions more deeply than a person who is just calm and balanced, who does not let things affect him too much. He's more practical, grounded. No, artists are not grounded.
No, you mean to say
They
that
like to fly high.
an artist
Yeah.
will have a lot of contradictions in him?
No,
in
sometimes, but not artists. Everybody has a lot of contradictions. Even we, everyone in the world has a lot of contradictions.
No, I am asking
And
because
everyone change with time too. In this circumstance, they would react this way. But the same circumstance after a few years later, they would react in a different way because life's experience would teach us bigger lessons. So it's
No,
not
my question-
contradiction.
It's
No,
A
I am
woman's
asking
mind
because
is so complex, Gautam. A woman's mind is so complex. They say, கடலோட ஆழத்தை கூட கண்டுபிடிக்கலாம். You won't know what the woman is thinking. It is such a complex thing that the woman's mind, a man would never know. However close you are, how many ever years you are in love, you will never know what a woman thinks.
no,
It's such a complex.
Artists come with some kind of eccentricity. Yes.
yeah,
I
of
would
course.
Yes.
like to add up on that.
Yes.
Actually, Mr. Gautam, the answer, like I think the better answer would be that even if an author or a dancer or a singer has many emotions inside them, through art they will be expressing the emotions that they cannot express in normal life. If let's say I have deeper depression inside me and I cannot show it outside, I will write a story about my depression and that will be my catharsis. That emotion will go out of me once it's out, right? I don't have to express it in my life, but I can still write about it and be over with it. So that I think like
No,
the
but
first question
in Natya, sorry Kanna, in Natya, you are not yourself. You transform to become, you become the character. You are not yourself there. So it is, if you have pain or distress or anything, I don't show it unless the character which I'm depicting goes through that.
Exactly,
You
ma'am. That is
forget
what.
yourself, and the moment you put on your Talasaman, the Chandra Surya, the sun and the moon, and every ornaments, they all have a lot of meaning. Every Alankara in Natya has a lot of significance. It's not just for beauty. Okay, even the bangle is said to protect the wrist. The hip chains are to protect one's hip. Blessings from this, in fact, resembles the Talasaman that you see in Bharatanatyam resembles the temple. These are the sun and the moon. They have the blessings. The dancer has the blessings of sun and moon and the temple. So we go through emotions according to the characters. You are not your original self. When you are a true artist, you transform.
Exactly, ma'am. That was my question. My question was not objective to women as such. I was talking about artists as such. And my question was, since you were saying that they may be sentimental in real life, but the
Yeah.
objective of art is to get into that state where you forget yourself.
Yes. Yes.
So,
But they say as artists you're slightly touched in the head. I don't know. The common people say, oh, artists are slightly touched in the head there. Yeah. And that is why I think that spark of creativity and that search and everything makes them different from normal people.
and they go through emotions deeper than normal people.
Deeper, yes,
Much
really,
deeper.
really.
That's why
Yeah.
they're able, like any art form is, it's an exaggeration of emotions. You
I
cannot
have to
just
live
say,
so many characters,
yeah.
you know. So I go through so much of emotions.
And in dance and also in writing, the beauty is that you will have to switch from one character to the other in like minutes, and you will have to be able to do that also.
In seconds, not even minutes.
Yeah.
Just a change of frame, then you become the other character.
Yeah. And I always used to ask Jayanti Aunty, I would understand when she writes about women, right? Because she would have gone through at least like a minuscule of the emotion. But when she writes about men, she will go deep into that emotion also. As if she has lived as a man for a while, she will write that.
Yes.
And that is
that was in that context. My new novel is male centric because this is so feminine. My next novel is male centric.
Wow.
Okay.
Eagerly waiting.
Waiting for it.
I'm keeping that as a challenge for myself. Something different. It should be different. I cannot again write a feminine fiction. So
all the feminism in you has come out in this one book itself, I think.
Huh?
All the feminism in you has poured out in this one book that you cannot go on to another and write more from.
So many
women, so many emotions, so many ups and downs, but it was like a boat ride.
Yeah, but next one is
up and down.
It's because it's male centric.
And this problem, I think all authors have.
Will all be males. Male psychology. I have to get into that now.
Okay, Gautam. No, he'll have more questions on that. It has been a joy sharing my thoughts about
Thank you. It's an honor to have you in the panel, ma'am. Unforgettable.
I was honored to have the privilege of reading in the manuscript.
This place is lucky.
And I would like to end it with one last thing. I would like to add on to the answer that Jayanti ma'am had given to Mr. Gautam. Actually, the problem with people who write is that it's like a child, right? We would feel bad when something is cut off of it. We will feel, even if there is a page that we will have to give up, we'll feel very, and at least I do that. I keep that page somewhere so that I can use it somewhere else in some other place if the words are right. So that pain will be there when you let go of it, you know. And it's very hard to cut short a novel because it will go, the flow will.
Danya, you will get over it. You have got to grow as a fiction writer. You will.
Yeah. and the flow goes off when you cut short, you know, that I think that is what maybe she felt.
No,
when she was cutting.
no, if
There will
the
be a
flow
flow.
goes, if the
Hmm.
flow goes, you're not supposed to cut.
Yeah.
The flow
So
should
that's why
Oh,
remain.
but as
books are
an
bigger.
artist, I just have a
Despite the
small
cutting,
tip.
the flow should remain. Then you're doing the right thing.
Yes.
If
So
it
see,
goes
I
off,
sometimes I
don't
have,
cut.
yeah.
Don't cut.
I have a small
You will
tip
know it.
for artists, When I start choreographing, I choreograph it in a paper because I don't have the privilege of dancers coming and spending time with me in choreographing. So I do it on paper. Then I'm all very happily sitting in my bed and writing it. Then when I'm executing it, when I'm teaching it to dancers, it's on a different plane. Hard work and everything. After I finish that, then I become the layperson. I detach myself from my work and read it. I'll see my work as a third person. Then I feel this is not good. I need to chop it out. This
The
is good.
moment,
I need to enhance it.
Emotional
That we
disconnect.
do detach. We
Yeah.
do detach. Only then the best work comes out. Yeah, well, I am sure Jayanti also does that.
no, the moment this
Don't you
came
do
as
that?
a print, yes, the moment this came as a print, and I got the news, then it's not mine anymore. It's for the
Yes.
readers.
See?
I go to my next work. And for
Yeah,
me to
true.
come out of it, I read my favorite novelist, some other. I just come out of it and go to my
Yes,
next.
you need to
I
do
just-
that.
Yeah.
And I want to
You need
add,
to detach
Yes,
yourself.
Vidya.
Yeah.
Vidya has something.
Vidya?
yeah, I want to add that when we did both of her books, we never give her books to any other editor because she does all the editing part by herself. So that's a great relief. She knows where to cut and where to add,
Yeah.
where to edit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to thank her for that.
Oh,
The
thank you.
editing
Thank
part
you.
also she does that. The other
I should thank the
all the
publishers for letting me do.
all other books we give for editing. Jayanti's book we don't give.
I'm so happy. The publishers are letting me choose my font, choose my cover, and do my own editing, isn't it? So
Thanks to them.
Thanks
I will
to
convey that.
the publishers. Yes, of course. I'm fortunate. Thank you. So now,
Can we wrap it up for the
Yes.
session?
yes.
Yes. Okay. I would like to thank both our speakers, Ms. Radhika Surajit and Ms. Vidya Valaidam, and the author, Ms. Jayanti. I am grateful to the invitees for their time, nifty discussion and cooperation. Let us all make time next Saturday, the 28th of November at 5 p.m. for the next round of discussions and knowledge sharing by Dr. Revati Subramaniam and Mr. Gautam Sachidaran and their experiences with misplaced heads. I'm thankful to you all on behalf of the organizers, the speakers, the first readers, publishers, and the author of the Misplaced Heads. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.